Entrepreneurs, we see you. Get affordable business finance with longer repayment terms from Business Partners Limited, the entrepreneur's financier.
Money, it makes the world go round, but it also builds a business. Unfortunately, many budding entrepreneurs find themselves in a place where financing is just too hard to come by. The big banks will often look at a startup and just say no, and other financiers want to see profits before they can invest. So, how does a business procure assets, goods, and raw materials to build a profitable empire? Well, it's not easy, and many doors will be knocked on before the right one swings open with the right resources. Thank you very much for joining us. And the big thing at the moment, because of the economic climate in South Africa, is for people to venture into business for themselves. And a huge component of that is the financing. So with that financing, whenever an entrepreneur or business is looking for it, would you say that it is the traditional route that they should be going in, or they should be actively seeking venture capital?
Different funders in this ecosystem have different funding mandates, they have different industry preferences, they fund at different stages of a business. So it's really important to do a bit of research to understand where you are at, what type of funding you need, what type of partner you need, and what are their funding objectives and whether yours aligns closest to that.
Yeah, and what about that idea of going for a traditional lender or a venture capitalist? Which would you say is the best route to go?
The two have pros and cons, and you need to establish what is the kind of funder you want. Do you want a funder that's going to keep a professional distance or be more involved and add value in your business? Entrepreneurs generally tend to want to control things themselves and don't like too much constraints on them, because that's their very nature, to explore opportunities and grow. So it really does depend, but I would argue that venture capitalists are better suited to highly scalable businesses earlier in the business, and that generally comes with an equity instrument to invest in, with traditional funders, banks, commercial funders, tending to fund more mature businesses where there is a track record, and generally tend to prefer debt over equity.
So maybe unpack for us the misconceptions around debt and how it can actually be used to grow a business.
Debt in isolation is neither good or bad. It's about how you utilize it in your business. Too much debt can be harmful to your business, but at the right balance between debt and equity, it could actually be very good for your business in terms of growing it and also increasing the return on your own investment in the business, meaning that if the debt you introduce allows the business to grow in a manner beyond the cost of the funding, then it actually increases your own return on your own investment in the business. So it does depend on how it's utilized in the business. There's of course affordability and cash considerations when you introduce that debt. And then debt comes with various forms of terms and conditions. There's the interest rate, there's penalties, what happens when you can't afford to repay for this month, what kind of clauses are embedded in the fine print. So that's really important over and above just debt in the classic sense.
What would you then say are the top tips to note when looking for financing?
Research to the funder you're approaching is absolutely key. Some funders have commercial return objectives, other funders have development impact objectives. How many jobs are you creating? What are you doing to uplift society? All of those kinds of initiatives. So matching your application and funding need to the funder that you approach is really key, and narrow down the list of funders you approach, which will increase your chances of success. The second one is have information readily available. Funders cannot make decisions off old information. Financial statements, management accounts, all the licenses, registration, all of those things must be in place and readily available. And secondly, make sure all your compliance issues are also up to date. Your tax clearances, your CIPC registrations, and so on. All the basic information and the registration documents. So those are the more common ones that I see why funders don't pursue an application. And then lastly, make an impression. SMEs are all about the people. Entrepreneurs are all about the people. Make a good impression. Don't be overly arrogant, but be confident and passionate about the industry you're in, the business you're involved in, and why this expansion makes such great sense.
This episode of Future Fit was sponsored by Business Partners Limited, the entrepreneur's financier, proud supporters of SMEs for over 41 years.
Hello and welcome to Newsnight. Thanks for joining us. I'm Angli Hatting. Let's have a look at your headlines this hour. President Cyril Ramaphosa has announced changes to his executive. Kgotsi Makgopa has been appointed as the country's new Minister of Electricity. We get more reaction to the changes in the President's executive. We chat to the DA's John Steenhuisen and SAFTU's Zwelinzima Vavi.